Where the Clippers finally end their course. Curse, Mike Resemble.
The Los Angeles Clippers are the most cursed team in the NBA, and it's really not. The Los Angeles Clippers are the most cursed team in the NBA, and it's really not even close. I understand when looking at the current NBA, we see the Sacramento Kings struggling. We see the New York Knicks have won one playoff series in 20 seasons, but when it comes to the Los Angeles Clippers, they're just on a different level. I'm talking about career-ending injuries, draft mistake after draft mistake. The entire Clippers organization was started in Buffalo. No offense to Buffalo, but when they were in Buffalo, they fired their head coach and watched as he immediately won a championship with the Portland Trailblazers. The Clippers have never won a championship. They have never been close. Looking at this list of biggest draft regrets, I understand that
they drafted Tyson Chandler
and say, hey, these should have been the right choices, you Clipper dummies. But that's not what we're doing here. All of this adds up. Draft picks, free agents, major injuries. What I will say is that after this video, when we take a look back, I think we'll both fully agree this is not only the perfect storm, this is the perfect curse. In terms of draft picks, though, here we are, Jerome Robinson at pick number 13 in the 2018 draft, right before Michael Porter Jr., who some people have contract issues with now, but the Clippers could have won a title with him in 2021. The Clips took the Suns to 6 games without Kawhi Leonard, as their best player was injured in the previous series, and they still won. They got to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in
forever.
Oh, yeah, that is a lot of years. And yes, the Los Angeles Clippers got to the Western Conference Finals, of course did not have their best player to fight with, but still took the Phoenix Suns to 6 games without Kawhi and without Michael Porter Jr., who was healthy for these playoffs just last year, and I won't even say that he could have helped Kawhi not get injured, and PJ himself was a much-needed bucket. He averaged 20 a game while the Clippers were playing with Reggie Jackson as
he said on a podcast, if he was in LA, he wouldn't be the same player. Like, he would have gotten in so much trouble.
Leading scorer. And again, they took the Suns to 6. That is a very real missed chance at a title that just happened. We could keep a counter going right now. That is one. Then, with a guy like Bryce Johnson, even at pick 25, the Clippers could have had Pascal Siakam or DeJounte Murray or Malcolm Brogdon, but somehow they chose the one player who would be out of the league in just 2 seasons. With Aminu in 2010, we know the Clippers love Paul George now. He's on their roster. They could have drafted him. They took Aminu 1 pick.
You're not even looking at the player. You're just going off what your scouts say.
For Gordon Hayward, and 2 before Paul George in 2010. They took Tyson Chandler with pick number 2, an awesome defensive anchor for the Mavs and Knicks, among others, but they could have had Kobe Bean Bryant's number 2 guy for 2 Lakers titles in Pau Gasol. And speaking of Kobe, the Clippers could have drafted him in 1996, or also 2-time MVP Steve Nash. They even traded up in the 1998 draft just to take
Right, because he's sponsored by Riot Games.
take Michael Olowokandi over Hall of Famers such as Vince Carter, Dirk Nowitzki, and Paul Pierce. They also could have had Kevin Garnett in 1995. Incompetence, for sure. A curse? Well, let's keep on going. Immediately, the Los Angeles Clippers have never made even the NBA Finals, let alone won an NBA championship. They've made the Western Conference Finals
like Paul George
last year, which is why I do think the curse could be coming to an end, maybe. But before we continue, guys, I want to give a huge shout out to SeatGeek, because look at where I am sitting right now. The Nets and SeatGeek completely hooked it up. I had an incredible time. I was able to bring my fiance Angela. She's amazing and she had an amazing time as well. And so thank you to the Nets and SeatGeek. I've worked with SeatGeek for a long time and I am so happy to finally be working with them again, because guys, live events are finally back. We can finally go watch the NBA in person. I can go finally watch St. John's lose in person. Whether it's a sport, team, concert, or artist, you name it, our friends at SeatGeek have all the tickets and have you covered. And the way they do it is also designed to make buying simple for you while also getting you the best deal possible. SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web to make buying simple. SeatGeek also rates tickets on a scale of 0 to 10 so you can make sure you are getting a great deal. Green means good here, red means bad here. And personally, guys, I love this feature. I use it all the time myself. I mean, who doesn't want the best deal? And SeatGeek has that, and I have the best deal for you. Because right now, if you use the promo code 2KMike on your first purchase order
Bucks
on
at next game
SeatGeek, you
3.
are going to get $20 off of your tickets. Yes, that is $20 off of your tickets with the promo code 2KMike on your first purchase. The link to download SeatGeek and the link for my promo code are both going to be in the description right down below. Go download SeatGeek and use my promo code 2KMike to get $20 off your first purchase. Again, guys, personally, I do use SeatGeek all the time. I love them. Now back to the video. But I will also say maybe, because listen to this absurd history that this franchise has. Overall, out of the 30 current teams in the NBA, the Clippers are 29th in win percentage, ahead of just the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I'm pretty sure the Los Angeles Lakers moved out of Minneapolis, Minnesota to LA to gain the ultimate advantage. They rank second in win percentage, but the Clippers, playing in that same Los Angeles city, are currently only beating the place that the Los Angeles Lakers left, Minnesota, which means we have to ask the question, how is that possible? What has made them so different? What has made them so bad? By the way, guys, just a quick note, if you're enjoying this could be a series. We could talk about the Kings and the Knicks in the future and other teams. So if you are enjoying it, just comment down below that you want to see me continue, because I love this. I'll keep going. Well, the Los Angeles Clippers, just like the Los Angeles Lakers, started in a different city, but unlike the Lakers, the Clippers did not win titles. Instead, in the summer of 1976, as the Buffalo Braves, they would fire Jack Ramsey and watch immediately as Jack Ramsey led the Portland Trailblazers with MVP Bill Walton to a title. This was in 1976. It really goes back that far. The next season, the Clippers, Braves, whatever, traded for future Hall of Famer champion MVP Moses Malone, got him for basically nothing, and Moses would play 2 games for the team before he was traded away to Houston because, as a future MVP, he complained about not playing enough. Sticking with MVPs, the Clippers have never had a single one, but they did target Bill Walton, the MVP of that same Blazers team that won the title with their own former head coach Jack Ramsey during the summer of 1979, and they got Bill Walton. But Walton would play in just 14 games in 1980 before missing the entire next 2 full seasons. That October, somehow, the Clippers also traded away their first pick for 7 years in the future. It was 1979. This was a 1986 first-round pick, and that first-round pick became the #1 pick of the 1986 draft. All of this was before they hired the only man to literally get kicked out of the NBA for being racist, Donald Sterling, as their owner. Of course, I stand by the NBA in kicking him out, but the change in ownership would take place, and it's like someone was angry. The injuries started to pour in for the Clippers. In 1986, Derek Smith would average 22 points per game in his 3rd season, and then, after his career was only headed up, he would blow out his knee and was never the same player. Meanwhile, Clippers all-star Norm Nixon, he had the same injury playing softball and missed the next 2 seasons. He was also never the same and retired in 1989. As for the Bill Walton injury we mentioned before, well, now in 1985, Bill Walton was traded to the Celtics and played 80 regular season games, was 6th man of the year, won a championship with the Celtics, all while in his mid-30s playing just in a different jersey. In 1987, the Clippers missed out on Scottie Pippen, Mark Jackson, Reggie Lewis, among others. This just gets a lot because in 1988, the Clippers would draft Danny Manning #1 overall, and after leading Kansas to a national championship on a team that was titled Danny and the Miracles, Danny Manning with the Clippers would blow out his knee just 26.
Sponsored by League of Legends, Mike.
6 games into his career and never came close to regaining the same dominance he once showed. In 1989, the Clippers drafted Danny Ferry. He refused to go play for them, and they called his bluff. So instead of playing for the Clippers, Danny Ferry went and played in Italy for the entire 1990 season. And so the Clippers were forced to trade Danny Ferry for Ron Harper. And in that very same season, in 1991, Ron Harper would tear his ACL for the Los Angeles Clippers. Then in current times, 2007, Sean Livingston suffers one of the worst injuries we've ever seen. We don't even have to show. In 2009, Blake Griffin was drafted #1 overall before Steph Curry. But I won't blame the Clippers for that. Looking at Blake Griffin's early career, the man established himself as a top 10 player in the NBA, or was at least close if you want to argue, but he was putting up those type of numbers and he was getting those type of awards. But we can't forget that Blake missed his entire rookie season with an injury, and then Blake and Chris Paul would both suffer impactful injury after injury, and never made the Western Conference Finals,
I think
despite
they
being
traded
hyped
Baron
as an
Davis to the
incredible
Cavaliers.
Lob
That's why.
City era team. Then as a 35-year-old on the
They traded Baron Davis in the first round pick to the Cavaliers that turned out to be Kyrie.
Suns, Chris Paul would make his first finals. Then just moving to right now, we're hit with everything that has happened since the Battle of LA was announced by someone I don't really remember at this point because there's been no battle. The real battle has been between an injury curse and the Clippers, as it appears yet again that this injury curse or whatever is happening is popping back up. Paul George has missed serious time since signing with the Clips, as has Kawhi Leonard, who we mentioned way back. Kawhi was hurt just last season in 2021 when the Clippers had a real chance to win the title. He was also playing the best basketball he had ever played. It is stuff like that, and it's stuff like this. This very season, February 4th of 2022, the Clippers traded for Norman Powell. On February 10th of 2022, in less than 1 week, Norman Powell would suffer a fracture in his foot and miss 22 straight games. 22. All of these injuries, all of these horrible draft selections, all of these horrible choices, we can call it whatever we want. Bad luck, a curse, horrible incompetence. But at this point in time, all of this added up together to me feels like a curse. What does it feel like to you? Because again, with the series, I really want to dive into a few teams. I'm thinking about teams like the Sacramento Kings and the New York Knicks right off the top of my head. So any other teams, comment down below, but make sure, guys, to comment down below if you want to see this series continue, because I really think it is an awesome one. Speaking of awesome, though, you guys are all awesome. Thank you so much for all of your support. I really hope you enjoy Coors Light. Remember to go check that out. If you're already subscribed to there, if you're subscribed here, you are so awesome. And if you're not subscribed, you're awesome too. Just thank you for watching. I appreciate it a ton. You're the best. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, guys. And cue that music. If you're